fun.
Okay, so you're going to document the making of the gravy?
Turn your label a little bit. There you go.
This is the smallest thing of flour I've ever seen.
Well, it's just per student, like per.
1, 2, 3.
Are you finishing the gravy, Walter?
Yeah,
She's doing it.
make it.
Thank God, somebody finally.
Yes,
I cooked all those
thank
turkeys. I said, I want gravy.
Do I need a measuring cup for that? You know how much you want?
Oh, thank you, Ann.
What you're going to do is you're going to melt this butter.
Okay.
We're doing right now. We are going to need something to stir with.
You said, oh, well.
You may want something
I got
like a spatula.
Thank you, Walter. I've been asking this for days.
You know how to make gravy, don't you?
I've never made gravy.
So you know how?
Oh,
Because if you want gravy sometime and you don't know how.
I usually try to.
We are making.
This part try to go around with people that do make it.
The first ingredient is to make
butter.
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 Everything tastes better with butter.
Butter, you can't go wrong.
You can, if you have turkey drippings, you know, like if you roasted it or something, you can use the oil. You can use the oil instead of butter, but I always have to add butter anyway. So you're going to need a spoon to get some.
The flour part's the part I never understood.
Okay, well what
You
you're
kind of
doing,
make a roux.
Make a roux.
yeah, and you just make,
Okay.
you make sure it browns. The trick
I
here
know the
is,
general theory of making a roux. The same people that fried turkeys make roux.
So you're gonna be able to document this so you can make it next
It's
time?
only
There, if he's going to videotape all the rest of us, right?
Gave all their employees turkeys.
yeah,
And they hired operations managers from Baton Rouge named Charles Landry. And Charles said, bring me your turkeys, I'll fry them.
right.
And I said, that sounds fun. So I went over to town at 6 o'clock in the morning. He gave me a beer and said, now we start. And we did that for 12 hours.
There you go.
Then I learned to fry turkey, then I went out and bought a pot. But Charles was fantastic.
That was probably about 3 or 4 tablespoons of
Yeah, and so you kind of did it too, so I get thick.
right, just a little bit thick. You don't want it to, you let it sit there, because what's going to happen
There's
now.
dark roux and there's light roux, right?
Well, really, you can cook them real brown if you want to. I always do it until the flour browns.
You're doing a lighter roux though.
Because what happens is it cooks the flour in the butter, right? And you want it, you'll see what happens when the transition happens here in a minute. Just let it sit there for a minute. It'll be fine. You notice how it sort of starts doing a little bubbly stuff like that?
Oh, yeah.
Well, what'll happen is after a minute, it's gonna do that all over, and it will spread out a bit, right? And it'll have little bubbly things all over it, and gradually you'll stir it so it doesn't burn. But after a bit, it gets the sheen, and the flour is browned. So you want it not like burned, but browned, like you were browning something, like frying something, and the color of brown you get when you fry something. That's what you're going for.
Watching
Just taking
it.
a movie.
Watching it all. Like, let's see, how much longer?
It'll be a little bit longer because I got the temperature. You can do this faster if you're just,
Right, but to do
safer
it
not-
just right, it's
Yeah,
worth
I mean,
taking your
if you-
time.
well, especially because I'm trying to tell instead of just doing it. You know, I'd probably turn it up a little bit because I'm getting impatient
You
and
know,
stuff.
But you would
but you know
stir.
what you're looking
Right.
for. And
But you want it to cook long enough in each place because, like, you can stir it a little bit if you want to, and you sort of fold over, right? And the trick is not to have too little butter because then it really will burn on.
yeah.
And if it browns onto the pan a little bit, sticks a little bit on a steel pan like this, don't worry about it because what'll happen is when you start putting the broth in, the water will pick up the stuff that's on the pan as long as it's not burned on real hard. So just sort of spread it out.
Don't be, I remember listening, don't burn the roux.
Yes.
Right, you got to throw it out if you burn it. So see how it's sort of changing color.
Yeah.
Now see, we probably could see how that's sort of separating and there's a lot of oil in there. That's going to leave it a little bit oily when you make the gravy and put the water in. So
you're gonna add a little flour?
And this is one of those things where you just add a little bit because it's a real fast transition from too much to not enough.
So
And then you
stir
got to
it.
put more butter in. Yeah, stir it up. And,
Yeah, I've done that many times, different things, just keep adding one.
one thing the other until
Yeah, and then
You
you're
got a
like,
lot.
oh no.
yeah, and then just sort of spread it out in the pan and just sort of.
Okay, that's a good way to put it.
A little bit more.
Good with video like on a cooking show.
I know.
Another video camera if we want two angles. It could be at the other.
Yeah. See, if we had drank a little more, we could make a drunk kitchen episode.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, we used to love to watch Julia, because Julia really got in their business. Happy cook.
There we go. So take in and just sort of.
Okay.
Now see, I may have gone past. Let's see whether this sort of collapses down into flatness or not. If it collapses down into
Looks like it's
flatness.
getting fuller.
Yeah, I know it may. It may. I may not have gone too far.
So this takes a lot of practice then to be able to eyeball it and see.
Yeah, I'll get there. You just got to make it right.
He's only been doing this for 30 years.
Only like once or twice.
Have to live long.
Yeah, it looks like it's getting.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that wasn't too much. It'll.
Make sure it's there.
This may be a 2-drink session.
Yeah. Well, you can do it like I said. You can do it a little bit faster if you're not trying to watch for
No, this is
transitions.
good to learn.
Because if you keep it low like this, it'll brown. It just takes a little while longer.
Well, and you're not going to mess up.
But yeah, there's
Yeah, you can stir it around a little bit and see. You know, the goal is sort of keep it spread out on the thing there and turn it over. So, like you said, it doesn't burn, but it does brown the flour evenly. And then what's pretty trippy is when we
You
start
ever
putting
put
the liquid in.
bouillon cubes in?
I don't put
Everything?
I use broth. I use
If you don't have
boxes of
broth.
broth.
Oh, you can buy broth. You can
Yeah.
buy broth.
Yeah, and you can
So
use
it's better to buy broth than
well, and mainly because there's so much sodium in bouillon cubes. And so if you don't, I've gotten to where we don't cook with any salt. I mean, I have it sometimes, but I don't cook with it. And so if you use something like this bouillon cube, it's just so salty.
I only think this marinade that I did,
Right.
had bouillon.
Yeah.
Little cube.
Yeah. But you can certainly use bouillon cubes or whatever for your broth.
Sheet
Give it
of
a
90
little more
people
flavor.
protect.
Well, and this is how you make cream gravy too. If you ever want to make cream gravy,
yes.
this is the base of it, and then the difference is that usually you use your bacon drippings or sausage drippings instead of butter.
You guys do
For the oil base, a couple of 3 tablespoons of bacon fat, bacon grease, and add the flour, and then put a lot of pepper in, and then instead of like using broth like this, you use milk.
Yeah, but they don't have.
Okay, so but you need lots of pepper, and I mean this.
Yeah, you
everything. If you don't have a lot, it just comes out sort of.
Remember the days when every time we did bacon, we poured it off and kept it.
Yeah,
Well, I
to
still
make
keep
your.
bacon grease. I still keep the bacon grease because it's handy to have.
You know, like when you only put it there.
See that part's starting to brown a little bit. I may turn this.
Well, no, that's help John. All right, let's get back to that's help John.
Hang in there, Fred.
Yeah.
We'll come back to you.
Okay.
Well, I'll be back. We're gonna go freshen up our drinks.
Yes.
Have a good, maybe sit down and watch a little TV. We'll be back in about 5 minutes. Here we go. Here we
Oh, I
go.
see the bubbles.
Getting serious.
See, I turned it up a pretty good bit. It's still pretty low.
Yeah,
I turned it up a pretty good bit. You're gonna need to stir it a little bit more now. You don't want to stir it quite continuously, but you don't want to sit too long. See, it's browning.
Yeah.
And the trick to gravy is don't be impatient about finishing with this stage of it.
Right.
Because
Exactly. Because that'll
you
mess
can
up the whole
always,
thing.
it's possible to add more flour later, but what you got to do is you take a little cup and you put a little water in it, and you put the flour in it, you stir it up before you put it in the gravy, because the reason people get lumpy gravy
yes.
is because they take it and they just put it in. And it's not any chance in the world that it's going to disperse if you just put straight flour into the liquid
already.
after it's already picked up. Yeah.
Do a brown.
Make a cup or something we can pull this
Yes.
out of, because it'll
A measuring
since
cup.
I've turned up, see how it's quickly browning once it hits that stage. It's okay, it's not going to burn, but you can also smell it browning, right?
Yeah,
You can hear,
absolutely.
you can smell the transition. Can you smell the difference? It's also transitioning smell-wise. It just sort of waft a little bit.
Starts smelling like unraw flour.
Yeah, it's starting smelling like cooked flour, you know,
Yeah.
like the crispy crust on fried chicken.
Yes.
You know, that's the smell you're going
Start
for.
to smell the fried flour instead of the.
Right, right. If you do it, and it's
You're the
not
most
bad if you
fascinating
do it a
video
little
ever.
bit shorter. If you don't at least get to this stage, then it doesn't. I mean, if you're in
It's
a
not
big
gonna
hurry,
work.
well, it'll work, but it's just not quite as good. So, you know, if you're in a big hurry, you just turn the
Well, if you
flour
don't
up,
cook
you
the
do it.
flour, it'll taste like raw flour. So you'll just have a more
So you gotta
floury
boil it
taste.
for
Yeah.
longer. You've got to do it with liquid longer if you're not going to actually cook the bread down. And see, that's a good color. It can get a little bit darker than that if you wanted to. And see how it's actually browned.
Are you gonna put this on YouTube?
Yes.
It'll
This
be a
will be
small
pure
3-hour
excitement.
video of how to make gravy.
Okay, here we go. You might want to get up higher, Tess, so you can actually see it.
Jitters and livers.
Now stir while we do this.
Oh,
I'm just going to pour. See how it soaks it up, absorbs it as we go?
Wow, yeah. That's
Alright,
okay.
Oh,
I'm just making a mess. That's why I was going to use a cup. But
That's
now,
okay.
it'll smooth out. Don't worry too much.
Oh, so we're gonna use it all.
wow.
This is gonna
Yeah,
be good,
we're gonna
Lynn.
need some more liquid.
Looking good.
We're gonna need some more liquid.
Like just water, or
Yeah, water's fine, or if you got a bouillon.
well, what about some of this dress?
What does
This,
that stuff taste like?
yeah, taste it and see what you
I have
think.
a
Here's your
chicken
spoon.
bouillon cube is all I have.
No, it's...
I don't have bouillon.
She has this better than bouillon right there.
Oh, okay, that'll work.
That's what she tried to get me to use. And I said, no.
No, that tastes like beef stock. You don't want beef stock.
Okay, that probably is. Okay, well we won't.
That's the folks that put that with their turkeys.
Now see, that's gonna thicken up.
It already is. I can
See,
tell.
and it hadn't even cooked in yet. Oh, well, look, this is good. Do you need this?
No, you use it.
You wanna fill it up with water for me?
You used everything else I needed.
Might as well use that too.
That's the wrong thing. He didn't want. He didn't like the man's chicken. Chicken shit.
Let me get another one. No, the other one tastes like beef for some reason.
I can chew that.
Whatever they put in that package. I don't know what they did.
Well, it said, but
Yeah.
who knows?
Well, not all the turkeys came with it. You know, some of them did,
Yeah.
some didn't.
Lynn,
I think-
where are your cubes?
Neck meat.
Sure. And you turn the fire back up because you can bring it to a boil.
Okay, boil now.
No, I turned it up already
okay.
a little bit. You don't want to do it too fast because, well, just, you know.
He forgot to give you the entire spiel of why the roux is so important for this step and why it integrates into the rest of the liquid. We'll remind him when he comes back.
We'll imagine it. You've been there before, haven't you?
Yeah, she's heard the spill. It sounds like.
But I've never recorded that.
So now you can go back and watch it for your next gathering.
Dad, you never explained why it is that it doesn't become lumpy when you just pour all that liquid in. What happens?
It's because all of the flour is all coated by oil and absorbed in oil, so the starches don't interlock the way they do when you just put raw flour in. As it gets wet, it makes those little blobs, and the outside coats it by the little proteins in it.
So with that heat and the browning effect, that
Right, and oil keeps it separated and keeps it in a suspension instead of that, you know, that
and then so now that flour is
yeah, you don't
slowly
have to
soaking
stir it
in
continually.
the water.
Right, and the flour will
That's like
release part of the proteins and it'll thicken it. Yeah. And we may need to put a little bit more liquid in it. I
Oh,
don't know.
you think? Even
We end
more?
up using a lot of flour. Yeah.
Wow.
When I do,
mean, this-
like a
That's
bottom of a
it goes
roaster.
back to his first
This
comment.
will
Try not
last-
to make
this
too
will
much
be
roux.
Good tomorrow night also.
Yeah,
Well, this will be good for you for a week.
No, it won't. No.
but you know when you do just the drippings off a turkey and a roasting pan
Oh,
like that,
yes.
2 or 3 tablespoons is plenty of flour. And we used a little bit more than that. So,
Yes, you do.
it's okay. You just keep putting liquid in and using more pans until it turns the right way.
We got every pan in the house.
What you wanted.
Sorry, puppy. With gravy boiling.
No, this will be about right.
Onion company turkey. That's very good.
Or I have coarse
Hey, Brooke.
ground pepper.
You can feel how it thickens up on the bottom first. If you
We
stir
need to
it,
put some rolls in the oven.
just stir it slowly, and see how the bottom is what. That's because it's hot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Had this lady in the sky.
Yeah.
It looked like what you would see in like an Austin style.
Alright, you feel that
So
thickness?
if you didn't come and stir it,
It would
it sticks.
eventually burn.
Okay.
Yeah.
This guy had a can, but
So
there's
you do
nothing
have to stir it a
noticeably
little bit.
alcoholic on the can.
And then the other thing, just a
They're talking about having a good time.
Oh yeah, just take this little top thing. Yeah.
What they say? What is it? No. It is, so after that, I found like the most bland looking like
I love
host
pepper.
that I could find. Clicked on
Well, you can't be bashful because a lot of it
And that
gets
worked
absorbed.
out for me.
I mean, this is one thing where the pepper
really
just
caught me by
hides.
surprise. I didn't think a good job. I have been doing a lot better.
You cannot cook without the F-bomb.
I don't do baking. Yeah,
We've got another lecture going over here.
I was so careful, I was telling you, my little kitchen. Be careful, I needed to move that, I grabbed one of those hot trays with both hands.
Yeah, see, that's going to need some more liquid.
You think so? You can already tell, huh?
I usually keep a teapot on the
Yeah, I
stove.
thought-
That's what I use my
This
teapot
happened at the
for, in
park.
addition to
I
making
don't
my
know.
tea
I
water.
think it was
Because you've got ready water just sitting there on the stove.
moving over.
Okay, well I'll go fill that. jar up.
Yeah. I wish I would have known, I would have given you some aloe vera.
But that time I
That
was
would
okay.
fix it.
But that time I was doing okay.
Yeah, but by the next day.
Yeah.
This is going to be close though.
Yeah, I don't think this is,
There's a
nothing,
little more neck, a little more neck in there.
bad words were said, and I made Walter.
You want the whole jar?
All right. I also had a
Probably.
genius idea
Well, let's
that
just
my
wait.
brother-
Let's
Okay.
wait until it actually boils for a bit.
Okay.
Meat roast.
Jump in the gun, Brooke. Jump in the
Yes,
gun.
I am.
Once it all gets to a good sort of small simmery boil like that, right? You just
Then
give it
it
a couple
quickly
of
gets
minutes.
to
And,
that thickness that you want.
well, you want to. That's when you can sort of test how it's going to turn out. See, it's got some body, but it's not too thick, and you could put a little more water in here or not. And when it will solidify when it cools, right? And because all the proteins that are out of the flour will actually knit together,
Okay.
like a gelatin thing and all that.
Well, that is definitely, you have to be kind of a connoisseur to get it down. That looks good.
Well, you made it.
It does. I'm not a big gravy fan, but that looks good. And now I know all the work that goes into it. I'm like, I'm a gravy fan.
You can do it in about 10 minutes if you're actually just
I would say
doing
that this
it.
has literally been 4 times as long as it normally takes.
Yeah.
But that's
No.
what's it drunk sip?
But if you hadn't put enough flour, there'd be a whole sheen of oil over
Oil
the top.
on the top.
That's why he added more flour at that last moment, right when he thought that there was gonna be a
Right.
chance. Well, it wouldn't be a huge
It's
deal.
not
There's
bad.
just oil. You've been to someone's house and like you pour the gravy and there's like some like oil on the top of the gravy boat. That's because they didn't put enough
They
flour in
didn't
there.
put enough flour to fully absorb the oil.
Oh,
See, now you'll
So
know
you
enough
gotta-
to know exactly what people's error was when
Yeah,
they make
exactly. I can
Yeah.
point it out.
That's as crotchety as my mom.
That actually looks about right.
Smells like gravy.
It looks great.
I think the mascot.
Smells like gravy?
That
Yeah.
she actually whipped the movie.
Smells like gravy. It's looking like gravy.
So far away from the common goal.
Or that was
guy
just-
was a comedian. He has
I actually think,
I think it looks good.
yeah, I think that's about right.
I would just leave it like that.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't add any more water to it. You'll probably want to when you use it next time.
Oh, okay.
You'll probably want to add just maybe half that much water to help it get started. If you heat it up in a pan instead of zapping it,
Oh, okay.
right, use a little bit of water in the bottom. It won't hurt anything.
Okay, good.
Get there.
Are you stirring?